Welcome back to the podcast. Today on the shelf, here we go. A return. The banana cream Olipop makes a return to the pod. And the first time I had one of these, I was in Florida. I was in Tampa, Florida back in August. And then all the, I wonder what that place looks like where I first had this. And I just realized I shook it, and I'm not supposed to shake a pop before I open it. So I'm going to wait on that. But thank you guys for being here. Thanks for tapping into the keys. Today's pod 50. I've done 50 formal podcasts. Congrats to me. Thanks for being here. Who knows how many we'll do? Who knows? This could be the last one. But today's episode I had. Okay, so Tolle. I'm rereading some of Tolle's work. I've talked about this plenty of times on the podcast. And I'm reading a new book by Eckhart called A New Earth. And I want to think about what I've been reading. And more so, I actually want to, instead of thinking about what I've been reading, I'm just going to read it. So I was reading the other day, and there was something that came across, just struck me. Let me see here. Very hard to see when you're in a dimly lit room with shades on, but we'll figure it out. Probably going to need my eyes. Ow, my teeth. You know what? Let me do this Olipop. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Okay, Olipop, banana cream Olipop. Here we go. It might explode. Oh, if you like bananas, you'll like this. Here we go. Temporary rolls. If you are aware enough to be able to observe how you interact with other people, you may detect subtle changes in your speech, attitude, and behavior depending on the person you are interacting with. At first, it may be easier to observe this in others, then you may also detect it in yourself. The way in which you speak to the chairman of the company may be different in subtle ways from how you speak to the janitor. How you speak to a child may be different from how you speak to an adult. Why is that? You are playing roles. You are not yourself, neither the chairman nor the janitor or the child. When you walk into a store to buy something, when you go to a restaurant, the bank, the post office, you may find yourself slipping into pre-established social roles. You become a customer and speak and act as such, and you may be treated by the salesperson or waiter who is also playing a role as a customer. A range of conditioned patterns of behavior come into effect between two human beings that determine the nature of their interaction. Instead of human beings, conceptual mental images are interacting with each other. The more identified people are with their respective roles, the more inauthentic the relationships become. You have a mental image not only of who the other person is, but also of who you are, especially in relation to the person you are interacting with. So you are not relating with that person at all, but who you think you are is relating to who you think the other person is, and vice versa. The conceptual image your mind has made of yourself is relating to its own creation, which is the conceptual image it has made of the other person. The other person's mind has probably done the same, and so every egoic interaction between two people is in reality the interaction between four conceptual mind-made identities that are ultimately fictions. It is therefore not surprising there is no such conflict. There is so much conflict in relationships. Wow. I mean, that's very, very cerebral there to think about all that. I think he's just stating facts. Because part of me is thinking, well, it's very useful that we all take on roles. It speeds things up. When I go into Costco, I know the role that the person's playing when I walk in. It speeds it up. I got to get out my Costco card. Here you go. Same thing when I exit. Same thing when I'm back in the meat section. Like, they're doing a role, and I'm in a role. And so I think it's important to note that he's not putting like an opinion or a spin. He's not saying this is good. He's not saying this is bad. He's just pointing out a factual reality that we do, a projection, a form of projection, a form of psychological projection that we put on the world. And this concept of roles, man, it's so interesting because I've thought about it, how it interreacts or interrelates to the podcast. You know, what is my role? What's your role? I mean, identifying roles is important. It's something that we do. And it's interesting to recognize to be the awareness that notices that we conceptualize. Pretty interesting, I'd say. Pretty cool. All right, what else is on here? Oh, Trump and Rogan, they did a podcast. Let's talk about that. So today's Saturday. The podcast came out yesterday. Friday night. Yesterday. Last night. I watched all 3 hours for sure. And when, it's pretty amazing the ground they covered. Those two guys, those two wacky guys. Let's see. What did I make of it? Okay. Well, I like, JRE. Who doesn't? Trump is pretty close to becoming president, I would say. I would say it seems that way. So less than 2 weeks before the election, it's a pretty big podcast, pretty historical event. If I saw on X, someone commented like 15 years ago, if you would have said the host of Fear Factor and the host of The Apprentice, if you would have said that a conversation they're going to have 15 years from now is going to be the biggest political event, we would all, we'd all say, no way, Jose, type thing. But it's the reality we're in. And man, I really want to refrain from getting political, So I'll remain neutral, but I will say there's a huge contrast in the candidates here. With Trump, he's 3 hours unscripted. He has agency over what he thinks and his, the decisions that have led him throughout his life, whether you like him or hate him, you have to admit that he's been successful in many different arenas: entertainment, business. If you look at how he handled his presidency, a little rocky at some points. He wasn't perfect, but he has agency. He's a thinking, autonomous human that has resources, that has connections, that has networking, that has business savvy. And so for that reason, decent candidate, I'd say. And then you look at the other side, and like I said, I'm really not trying to be political, but it is political times. So, and then I just noticed that the other candidate, Harris, she doesn't seem to be able to think. And that seems like a big problem for someone running for office of the free world. So, I'm going to remain neutral and keep it moving. All right. Oh, yeah, I went to Red Rocks the other day. Me and my good friend Van, we went to Red Rocks. Man, what a time. It was I've been to 3 Red Rock shows, and this was the clearest show by far. Weather was beautiful. Got to see the sun set before. You could see Denver in the background. Man, what a beautiful experience. And it was his first time at Red Rocks, but also just his first time seeing like a real live music event. This guy's got to get out of the house more. But me and Van, yeah, we loved it. We were laughing our butts off. We saw Reggie Watts. crazy opener. Reggie Watts was such just a natural character. His personality, he would do a lot of, back and forth with the audience. He was really soaking in the moment. Then he did his little music thing. Cool opener. Yeah, whatever. And then we saw Fly Low, Flying Lotus. Groovy guy. He's got some really, his visuals were like sending us. That's for sure. His visuals were very like, just, sending you into an alternate universe, I would say. And then the main act, Mark Rebillet. Golly, that guy is incredible. I mean, I saw Mark last year, and when I look back over the experience, when I like think about the concert the next day, I think about the cool wind, like brushing from behind you. I think of him, just his outrageous, outlandish character, just screaming, just full on, just sending his voice through the auditorium. And it's just like, he does that. Wow. And then just the creativity, on the spot creativity from Mark, making a lot of his beats right then and there for us, bringing people on the stage, improvising, creating in real time. Gosh, me and Van were just losing our minds. Great time. There was this, it's pretty close to Halloween, so there was a ton of people dressed up. There was, there was a guy that was a lot of banana suits. Many, many banana suits were there. And it's just ironic. I'm drinking a banana cream lollipop. And there's a picture, you can't see it, but there is a picture of someone in my future family eating a giant banana. And that is a picture that is there. So a lot of crossover. Great show. The Loop Daddy looped it up. And Red Rocks was a great time. Oh yeah, the elf. I was trying to think, why were we laughing our butts off? There was the costumes, because it's close to Halloween, there was a group of people that were fully in costumes, and one guy had a little like Keebler's elf looking costume on, and me and Van would look over at this guy, and he was the music. This guy was just like moving he didn't miss a single beat, and me and Van were just, we talked about our faces, just our laughing so hard, our muscles in our face were giving out. Great time. Amazing show. Amazing experience. A new beat. I've made a new beat. This is a beat that me and my brother started in Florida back in August. We kind of started making it off of this song that he was listening to. It was kind of like a hard trap song. And we started making a beat based off that song. And I came back to it like 3 days ago. And I just started like building it out. And it's coming together quite nice. And I actually have already recorded lyrics to this. And it's dropping soon. But I wanted to just give a little sneak peek, a little snippet of the new beat called Beepin'. Oh yeah. All right. And that's pretty much pod 50 right there. That is pretty much pod 50 in a nutshell. 50 pods, 50 keys. Let's go. This will come out the week of Halloween. Happy Halloween to you guys. Man, I haven't done anything on Halloween in like 5 years. But anyways, happy Halloween, I guess. Get spooky. Get weird. don't forget the reason for the season. And I love you.